Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Evan Lazarus, filling in for Scott, who is out today. For sake of transparency, the market is not closed. This is the recap, but it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I have to leave early for an engagement as well. So we're doing the recap early, but there's really not much going on today in terms of market direction or market action. Really just a handful of individual symbol trades that we'll look at, but overall market pretty quiet today. So we'll see. Again, you still have a couple hours until the close, so things can always change in this market, but we're going to recap here and now. So let's jump right into it. We're going to look at the S&Ps. And the S&P chart, as we discussed this morning in the morning call, still in this, contraction, overlap, channel, bear flag type of pattern. And we do anticipate that this is going to resolve itself to the downside, as most of the time this is how this plays out. So we've discussed this, but you can see today, intraday, as of right now, very little market action, really small candlestick, not a lot of opportunity overall in sort of the general indexes here. We gapped up this morning. The gap up is held for better part of the day. Today is options expiration. So little, very little volume, very little market activity. So not much to report on that front. I'd say the only, not the only, but one of the better sources of trading today came from, our dear friend Apple. And, we've talked about this chart pretty extensively. And as of right now, and again, it's only 1 o'clock, stock trading just about 580, seeing some more selling after that two-day early, that 2-day bounce earlier in the week where we saw the stock trade from the weekly lows here at 572 all the way back to 620, which was really just one day and, maybe early into the next session, right back down to the lower end of the range. So on the weekly chart, pretty big red bar there, back to our 8-period moving average. Be very interesting to see what happens Monday and Tuesday. Again, Tuesday at the close are Apple's earnings. So I wouldn't necessarily look to do anything here at this point with the stock other than just, intraday cash flow type of trades. And we could see this stock reverse Monday and Tuesday into earnings, as a lot of times you'll see that run up into earnings. But this stock is definitely a benchmark. It's leader. It has to be watched very, very carefully for clues. And this is telling us right now that, the stock is being sold. The one-day bounce that it got, right back to the lows. So, price is telling us something here, and we have to be, respectful of it and very careful, as we need to watch this stock closely into earnings. Some other symbols that we covered, we're going to look at banks. Goldman, sort of like the spiders here in the S&Ps, just not much to talk about today. Just consolidating within yesterday's range, really no direction. JP Morgan, same thing, not much to write home, but curling under these averages, which are starting to turn down. You can see it, our 8-period. This to me looks like it wants to go possibly substantially lower. If we can, undercut these lows down here, you could see a nice, breakdown in price. So be on the lookout for that, into next week, as I suspect it's, that trade will occur. Chipotle, our high flyer that had earnings came out, and we saw that pre-market spike post earnings last night. The stock jumped to 445, but you can see now that the market's open, we're getting sold. So another one of these buy the rumor, sell the news trades being sold on earnings, as we are seeing, in a lot of these stocks across the board. So Chipotle seeing some selling today, and I suspect that, the volume, I don't know why volume's not up here, but we're going to throw the volume up here. Volume pretty high today. So, that earnings catalyst, we're seeing some, call it profit taking, call it selling, call it whatever you want, but the stock is breaking down. And there's not a whole lot of support till maybe these lower pivots, which are, right now around 410. So we could see that follow through trade into Monday. Another high flyer that we've been watching is Priceline. Looks to me like it's starting to decay, a little bit like Apple in the sense that, had this big downdraft, 2-day bounce, and that 2-day bounce is starting to, unwind again. And I would keep this on the radar for potential, lower prices in the coming days. It looks to me like it's trying to, break lower. One of the retail stocks that, again, I've had a position in, I will just take a quick minute and talk about it because I have gotten several emails on it. It's just a trade. It's, just a bear flag setup. We saw a little bit of a breakdown yesterday. Volume came up slightly. Today, not much to talk about. A little bit of a contraction, consolidation, just starting to ride these averages. And I suspect within a couple days you might see, a push down to the 70 mark. Obviously, that would, if the market starts to break down, you're going to see a lot of these setups probably start to really develop and come to fruition. So it's important. We said it this morning. Mark Sperling in the morning meeting on the virtual trading floor, 9 a.m. this morning, said, you have to really have a good watch list right now. Understand that there are stocks that have, potential setups that could go lower. There's still a handful of stocks that out there that look decent and are holding in. But there are some actionable, setups occurring right now that could, you could see develop over the next, 2 weeks. So it's important that you have a good, strong watch list and you have, your hands around what you want to do and how you want to act, into next week and as things potentially develop here, as we are anticipating lower prices. So, be nimble. Like I said, it's only 1 o'clock on Friday, and I'm recapping a day that isn't done, which really isn't fair. But it is what it is. So, but from what I've seen this morning, I don't anticipate or expect much change into the close. And as always, have a great weekend. The one last thing I want to point out, and I'll bring up the website. If you go to the homepage of T3 Live, and you on the left, you'll see, if you scroll down, coming events. Tomorrow in New York City, for those that are local or feel like making a trip to New York, we're having an open house tomorrow, and if you click on it, it gives you details from 10 a.m. to 12 tomorrow here in New York City. So if you're interested and you're looking for more information, check us out on the web. As always, a planned trader is a profitable trader. I'll be back on Monday on the virtual trading floor. Have a great weekend, everybody.